It's time for Tonia's Kitchen, taking you around the world of food and wine. Here is Tonia King.
My guest today is Renato Poliafito. Today we're talking about the brand new book called Dolci, American Baking with an Italian Accent. Thanks for joining me, Renato.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I love this book. Is this your first book?
No, this is actually, believe it or not, my fifth book. It is my first kind of like solo book. I wrote 4 other baking books with my then business partner at my other bakery called Bake.
So this is your first solo book. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh, at this point, it's a long story because I've been doing it for so many years. But I started out as an art major in college and was basically a designer out of college. And then I had an opportunity to go into the baking world with my then business partner. He wanted to open up a bakery, and I had this kind of passion to open up a coffee shop. So we merged our ideas together, and that's how Baked, my first bakery, was born. I had done that for over a decade, and then I stepped away, took some time off, and then I kind of went solo and opened up Ciao Gloria, which is my current bakery and cafe. And that's how Dolci kind of came about. It was me kind of exploring this kind of duality of being an Italian and an Italian American. My parents are from Sicily, so I'm a second generation. It just kind of evolved in a very organic way. Ciao Gloria is an Italian American cafe, and Dolci is an Italian American baking book.
Ciao Gloria, where's it located?
We're located in Prospect Heights in Brooklyn. Yeah, it's been around for almost 5 years now. We opened 6 months before the pandemic, so it's been pretty wild, I have to say. I've been operating a business during those times, but the last couple of years have been great. People have really responded well to what we're doing here, and I'm really happy that people like it so much. And I'm just as excited for people to kind of crack open the book and see some of their favorite recipes that we have at the cafe, but also see a bunch of new and different and exciting things.
And that was one of my next questions. Dolci, the book, is that a reflection of what you can find at Ciao Gloria?
Yeah, I'd say maybe a quarter of the recipes in the book you can find at Ciao at any given time. We try to be very seasonal here because we're a very small cafe, but we'll rotate things in and out over the course of the year. So people who come in multiple times, even if there's like a span of time between their first and second visit, let's say, they'll find new things to try. That was a big motivator for me with this cafe, is to not be really, don't rest on my laurels, don't be lazy. That's the same thing with Dolci. Dolci is some of the classics that you'll find all year round at Ciao, and some of the things you'll find part of the year, but then a lot of things that I discovered on my trips to Italy, things that I grew up with, and lots of kind of classic Italian American treats that a lot of people are familiar with, and my kind of re-envisioning some of them and, just kind of tweaking others.
Oh, this goes right to my heart. It's like some of the fun things that I've been seeing in this book. For example, I make cucciadati, and I see you have cucciadati scones. I can't wait to try that. Tell us about cucciadati for people that don't know what we're talking about.
Well, I like to call the cucciadati the kind of like the original Fig Newton.
Yeah.
It's like the same. It's like kind of like it's more of a holiday cookie. A lot of Italian Americans and Italians make it around holidays, and it's a fig paste filled cookie, and they're super delicious. You can kind of customize the fig filling to kind of whatever mix-ins you like, but usually it's a little boozy, a little citrus candy. Chocolate chips sometimes, and a ton of spices. And it really gives it a nice, any Italian American will take a bite of a cucciadati and realize that it's like, oh, this tastes like Christmas.
Yes.
But I wanted to kind of deconstruct it a little because I love cucciadati, and I find that they tend to be in, everyone's repertoire. So I said, why don't we just use the components of cucciadati and turn it into something fun like a scone, so you could have something like kind of on Christmas morning that is still very much Christmassy, but in a different format.
Oh, I can't wait to try it. Now, cucciadati are Sicilian cookies, correct?
Yes, and they can be from very simply designed, where they're dipped in a little bit of royal icing with some sprinkles on top, or they could be very ornate. And, if you do a deep dive into cucciadati, you'll find some of these shapes and designs are so elaborate and so beautiful. And you know, they tend to have like ties with like, you know, since they do have ties with Christmas, they're very kind of like religious cookies. So those tend to be even more and more beautiful, you know. But yeah, have a look and you'll see that's like some of the designs are just spectacular for cucciadati.
Well, my family's from Calabria. When I first started making cucciadati, I got so excited because they tasted just like they were just so exciting. I thought, I don't want to wait only make these at Christmas. These taste good all the time. And so when I saw in your book the scone recipe, I'm like, oh, this is just so great. I can't wait to try this recipe.
Totally like a vehicle. Now you can have it all year long.
Yes, absolutely. I want to go back to Ciao Gloria. Do you do only sweets? You do savory pastries? What is involved with Ciao Gloria? That fascinates me.
Oh, well, Ciao Gloria is like, you know, when I left to bake a few years back in 2017, I felt like I had two avenues in front of me. One was like writing another cookbook, which was kind of the Dolci prototype, and then the other was opening a cafe. And I was like, okay, whatever hits first, I'll pursue. And the cafe route presented itself. But I wanted the cafe route to be reflective of the idea of this book that I was having, which was like an Italian American cafe. I wanted to I wanted to have like a daytime cafe that served really great coffee, really great baked goods, and then really good savory. So like good sandwiches, good salads,
Yeah,
things people can come multiple times a day or be able to get all three of those components from the same place and have them all be delicious. Because I find that, you know, if you go to a really great bakery, sometimes the savory food isn't great or the coffee is lousy. Or if you go
right.
to a really good coffee shop, sometimes the pastries are kind of like shipped in and stale, you know. So I was like, how do I hit all three of those marks well? And that basically is the goal of Ciao Gloria, and that's how we kind of like exist in that world. Because of Ciao Gloria and its success, the book became an option again to me a couple of years later. So it's like because I had the cafe, it was like the book came from it.
Sure.
So yeah, it kind of worked out. So basically Ciao Gloria is like a really great neighborhood cafe. People really like it. You can come in, get it like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, or we have an Italian version of the bacon, egg, and cheese. You have a prosciutto.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's got to be prosciutto in there.
Yeah, of course there's prosciutto. So there's prosciutto, a bomba calabrese, which is like that Calabrian chili paste that we mix with aioli, and
Oh,
then frittata egg with like melted provolone. So it's like we try to Italianify other things. But yeah, you can come for breakfast, you can come for lunch, or just a slice of cake and a cup of coffee.
let's talk about some of these great recipes. I mean, there are so many. The campanata. I'm so excited about these recipes. Can you share a couple with our listeners?
Yeah, of course. You know, we range like the book is broken into chapters. So you have like your morning chapter of like morning pastries, which include like the cucciadati scones. We have like a cookies and bars chapter, which have things uh everything from like a brownie with like an amaretto caramel to a like a Zaletti cookie, for example, which
Mm.
is a classic Venetian cookie. Some of the cakes, we have single layer cakes, which are like your more rustic Italian style cakes, like a torta caprese, for example, all the way to like an Italianified red velvet cake.
How do you Italianify a red velvet cake? What are you doing there?
Okay, so what I'm doing there is I'm using really good cocoa first and foremost because you want a rich, deep red flavor to your cake or a red color to your cake. I added a raspberry jam between the layers and
Mm.
um, kind of a liqueur called Alkermes, which is an ancient kind of liqueur that's very herbaceous. It's super delicious, and you use it in small quantities. But I folded that into into the raspberry jam, and to give it like a more adult flavor
Yeah,
profile.
yeah.
But then for the cream cheese frosting, I folded in like mascarpone, for example, to give it a little less tang, but it still kind of embody all of that creaminess. So, you know, those are the ways I kind of like play with like American flavor profiles and then like add some Italian components. So if an Italian were to eat it, they would be familiar with some of the flavors, you know, and not be so kind of like, oh, what am I eating?
Oh, gosh, it
Yeah.
sounds great.
There's a great chapter on spoon desserts, which I'd say is one of the more approachable chapters in the book if you want to make something like relatively quickly. There's a bianco mangiare, which is almost like a panna cotta that Italians used to make for kids. It's a very easy, it's like cornstarch and cream and milk, sugar and cinnamon.
Okay.
And with that cornstarch, it kind of like it firms up the milk, and you put it in a little mold, you let it chill, and then you turn it out, and then you just eat it with a spoon. And it is so simple, but so delicious. It became one of my favorite recipes in the book, even though it's cream and cornstarch at the end of the day.
Yeah, but that's what's interesting. It's, yeah, cream and cornstarch, but it's how you put together and the other things that you might add to it. And it's
Exactly.
kind of cool that you labeled the chapter spoons. I mean,
Yeah,
so it's that basically all those desserts are eaten with a spoon.
100%. They're all creamy based desserts. You have your tiramisu in that chapter, which I kind of I folded in malt powder into the
Oh,
dipping, as well as the mascarpone cream. So which gives it like a very, a Whoppers-y type of taste, but also that classic espresso taste. And malt and espresso go really, really good together,
that
which is
sounds
something.
perfect.
Yeah.
I actually do a raspberry tiramisu. I got into a raspberry mode with tiramisu and absolutely love it. But I love them all.
Yeah, it's crazy how versatile tiramisu can actually be. In one of my old books, in one of my old baked books, I did a blood orange tiramisu, which
Oh,
really,
interesting.
yeah, so good.
So you sound like you like to experiment and be creative with some of your desserts and pastries and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's like important to kind of, baking is so scientific and you need to measure everything out. And, testing usually involves like a lot of failures,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But when you hit it and you're just like, oh, what, if you do have that palette of, especially with the experience that I've had for years and years, you kind of know what flavor profiles kind of work well together. And what you can kind of incorporate into something. So it's, with tiramisu, it's like, yeah, you could remove the coffee element, but as long as you have a liquid to dip the cookies in and then some other flavor to fold into the cream, you can go myriad ways. You can go 100 different directions. But yeah, it's that is the joy of baking, I guess, and the fun of it is kind of like experimenting and discovering new things and maybe finding new favorites.
And okay, just to let listeners know, we are talking with Renato Poliafito about his brand new book called Dolci. Would you say that the recipes are all approachable and easy to put together for maybe not first-time cooks, but people that aren't as experienced as you might be?
Well, I think it runs the gamut. You do have your very simple recipes, and then you have your more complex, more challenging ones. Because I was trying to kind of cover like a breadth of like Italian baking and
Yeah.
Italian American baking. So I can promise there's something in there, a few things for everyone. But I think, the way I put the book together, in the very front is an essay about the scale and how to use a scale when baking, which I believe is like the key to unlocking being a good baker. If you're measuring out in grams and you're mise en placing everything beforehand, you should be good to go. You just follow the steps. I always say, like, read the recipe through first. You don't want to get caught like putting a recipe together and then the recipe saying, okay, now let this chill for 24 hours, So, read the recipe through, mise en place, measure all your ingredients, and then it becomes, like science, you're just putting these components together, these elements together, and getting those reactions. So, I would say if you follow those steps, there's not one recipe in the book that you can't do.
Well, I can't wait to dig into this.
I always say I want this book to be as comfortable on a kitchen counter as it is on your coffee table. So I
Yes.
it's kind of like switch back and forth.
We are talking with Renato Poliafito, the brand new book, Dolci. Thanks again so much for taking some time out of your busy day.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I really had a good time.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe to this podcast as we continue to take you around the world of food and wine on Tonia's Kitchen.